Hello everyone, I'm Havoc, and this is Factorio Space Exploration Plus. We are back at it today, and I have been quite busy off camera. So, the expansion went well. We have a lot more land, but we had a problem. There were random biter nests that were behind the walls, like down in here, a couple over in this area. So, I've remedied that problem. If I press this little turret coverage button, you'll see, and no, that's not pollution, that's turret coverage of nearly the entire area that we've expanded to. There's a couple of areas right over in here that we don't have turret coverage on, and mainly the main base, because I know there aren't any biters where we've had our base. But now if I want to, drop a nuke pretty much anywhere on the map, I have that capability. And that is afforded us because of these little blueprints that I've dropped all over the place. One artillery turret with some atomic artillery shells inside of it, surrounded by laser turrets and a few radars at each of them. And that's what helped me to locate and eradicate the last little holdouts of bug resistance in our expansion. And that took quite a little while, honestly, to do all that and expand. I've been working on this for a while, but we have good turret coverage. I can absolutely smack anything. There shouldn't be anything inside of our wall anymore, but we can also, just for the fun of it, lob some atomic artillery across the map. And one random one will choose to fire it. We can just make the bugs a little angry. Because why not? Why not? That's fun. Just, taking care of business. Alright, enough of that. We've done lots of that. Today, we're going to work on setting up our stone processing location, where we are going to take the stone, make sand, take the stone, make glass, take the stone, make stone brick, all of the above. And you probably also noticed that these little lakes are all filled in. That's another thing that I did that took a very long time, is that as I expanded, I added in landfill to all of these lakes. I did that so that we can build without the need of anything special over here, just so I can use that area. I mean, why build around the water when I can landfill it? And you probably also noticed that I have upgraded our train lines to a 4-line setup. And I will be doing more of the upgrading of that later on, but I did have just the 2 that ran up to here. Now I've got a main branch that's going up and down that's a 4-lane, still right-hand drive for our setup. And I found this really nice upgraded Celtic knot intersection, and I generally don't like ones that include loops. Loops can cause issues, but I think it'll be okay. I'll let it slide because it's got my favorite little Celtic knot shape in there, the spiral, and this will be getting removed, and we'll be changing that up. But that's not today's project. Today's project is to pick a spot, probably right in here where I have a ton of space that I've cleared, and bring in our trains setup, and figure out how we're going to process all of the stone. Now, we already have a pretty good idea of what works over here. So this setup, we're going to slightly alter so that our beacons are on the inside of the blueprint rather than the outside, so I can use just 2 instead of 4, and I'll just underground our stone input. But we do know what it takes to get exactly a full blue belts out, and we set that up right over here. This gets us 4 blue belts of sand out of a single blue belt of stone. And that's going to be important because we are going to be using sand for a lot of things. If I open FNEI and then say, let's see, sand, And then we look at the uses. This is the recipe. Oh wait, these are all the recipes. How do you get the usage for it? I'm a little new to this. Here we go. So this is all the different recipes. Concrete uses a whole ton of it. Glass, obviously. Sand delivery with delivery cannon. I did look into this. It's a bit expensive, honestly, to deliver just the little bit of sand that it delivers. I did the math, and if I were to deliver the same amount of sand with a rocket, it's just so much cheaper. So there's no real reason to use the delivery cannon in my eyes, unless you're only needing to send a little bit here and there, which may be the case. But then we've got a recipe for glass, and then particle streams is going to take a bunch of sand. So we're going to want sand available to us. We're going to want to be able to train sand out of our processing area. And I'm probably going to dedicate a lot of this stone to making glass, to turning into sand and then turning into glass. And then we'll see what happens from there. But we're going to get started, and the first step is to set up our train area where our trains come in and unload. And I have since cleaned my inventory of a lot of blueprints, and I got rid of our blueprint of our little setup for, this is the loading area. We want to go to the unloading. And then the only thing I'm going to do is not capture belts, because I don't want all of this extra belt work in here. I'm not sure which direction we'll be going with it just yet. And I want to stop right about here. And like I said, no belt items whatsoever. That gets rid of all of them. We can set up our belts exactly how we want when we get to the other area. We can also remove those are extra substations. I don't need another radar. I have one radar there. And I don't necessarily need that roboport up there. This should be a good, easy setup. And we will name this Train Unloading Station. I like it. Let's put something that's a little bit easier to identify it up here. So it's not just a piece of rail, that could be anything. How about that? And some storage. And that'll help me understand this is for unloading. I don't want train stop names. This is for unloading our trains. This gives us a stacker and an area to unload them super, super easy. And we can just take that and figure out where are we going to do this at. Also, how many trains do we think we're going to need? We already know that a train gives us 4 blue belts output as long as they're constantly coming in. And that's not that hard to do. You can have trains waiting in the stacker as long as you are mining properly. If you have enough mining outposts to supply them, keeping trains unloading is not an issue. So I want to put it in this area right here. We're going to kind of keep it close by. And I want it to be where the trains come in, probably from the left. That'll be the easiest. So if I look at this blueprint, yes, I could very easily set it up so that trains come in, come off of the track, and come over to this. And then we can set up our processing. We will have to move some stuff around. I have roboports and everything else you could imagine strode all over the place because I was using the bots to clean up a lot of stone and some of the trees. Alright. Also, something I want to think about is I'm going to be making this my main thoroughfare down here. Well, that's above me where I am now. It was down below where I was at on the map. But this line from north to south is going to be the primary line. And then this line from east to west is going to be the primary line. And I want to have somewhere I can drive vehicles or walk beside this. And I also want to have an expansion of the RoboPort network that goes along with this, probably on this inside edge here. Oh, there's a little bit of coal that was here, just out in the water. I'll take care of that later. So I don't want to bump up against where I'm going to try and make a RoboPort highway, I guess you could call it, and a walking area. So I want to leave a little bit of space for that when we go to place down our blueprint here. So I'm going to come in a good little bit, and I'll probably do this up near the top of where I'm going to want to come in at. There are so many things in the way. Let's go ahead and clear just a bit of that before I try and put this down. Just tell the robots to come in here and clean house. I'm fairly certain that I can get away with rerouting power in other directions, getting rid of these lines that are just streaking across. Same thing, this was where the wall was. My laser turret wall that I had out here. I no longer need that. I could come in here and get rid of all of this and make room. I do want to maintain that connection. And I just want to clean up this area. So I also want to get this out of the way. And that will give me a good clean area to start placing stuff down in. And if I do this where I can easily expand it, like I said, I think I'm going to go down from where I place this, or with our resources. They'll extract and go south. So I'm going to place this right here. And then how are we going to hook power up here? We already have these lines. So I will probably temporarily do something like this, and that'll give power to the RoboPorts and radars when they are placed down. And then I need to route our stacker. Let's see, I do have a little bit. So here's the question, is what kind of setups? I don't need a 4 to 4, I need a 4 to 2. Here we go. Nope, that's the wrong way. Here we go. That's a 4 to 2 the way I need it. And let's take a look at the map and say if I place it where I can easily expand up. I don't know how many trains I'm going to want waiting. I think this is 8 or 9 stacker slots here, and I may want to expand that. So I'm going to place this up just a tad bit more. Probably to where it will come above the artillery. See, can I do that? It doesn't line up just right with what I have existing here. So we will have to alter it just a tad. In that we are going to need to remove signals right here. I have edited some of the blueprints, which is probably why that doesn't line up just like it's supposed to. But I don't like the lights that this specific blueprint book has, and I don't like having to place they have, where is it at? These little sections, you have to place down a bunch in order to go any kind of length. So I made longer sections like this. But for some reason, when I edited them, I moved the signals around, and now things don't line up just right, and that's okay. I just manually fix it wherever I need to do that. It won't be the end of the world. We're going to cut and paste this right over there, just out of the way, so I can take our train tracks and make it up to here. Why are we doing funny stuff? Here we go. And then we're going to do the same thing. The weird angles. I mean, I guess that's fine. It won't drive me crazy or anything. Also, sometimes I just like to land to place these really small items, because you kind of wiggle around. Like, I've let go of the controls and I'm still sliding, and if you're moving fast and you let go, you slide a lot with a jetpack. It's really nice because I can move very, very quick, but the more acute things, I would like to be on the ground to do those. Alright, but we are getting the stone set up. So I want to look at processing each of the different items, and then how we're going to load these up and take them back away. So I can easily expand the stacker and the unloading stations as is to hold more trains full of stone and then unload the trains as necessary. So I want to look at, if we go to do processing, it does not need to be here or in this area, and we will be moving this, our little setup for printing resources, and I need to use up the coal, but I'm going to be essentially what I did with that, I'm going to cut and paste it. I'm going to cut it and put it down somewhere where it has more room and it's not overlapping resources, because that right there bugs me to no end, and I'm sure it bugs some of you guys too. And we're going to take care of it, and we will set up something to process the oil and water and ways to handle the resources. We'll get to that. But first I need more processing. My little rinky-dink setup over here is just not cutting it. And these are almost bled dry because we are running out of our starter resource nodes. And that's fine. We are mainly running our base off of our new setups. The original pieces are just supplementing the lines in order to finish using them up. So we are going to place down our processing probably right over here. And I need to think about, after I process it, I need to load it up and take it out. And that needs room as well. And I will need to tie into the train network somewhere. And I might do something here, I'm not sure. Maybe instead of just having this offshoot dedicated only to the offloading, I may continue it and have these little branches for the unloading, and then the loading comes in and goes back across. But that will go across the coal. We'll see. We'll find out. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We are going to start by processing it. And the first thing that I want to make is glass. I want to make absolute tons of glass. And these are broken on purpose. I was like, wait a minute, did the bots forget that? That's so you don't unload there. And the glass production requires you to have a setup like this, where you have 4 lines of sand, blue belts of sand, going into a smelter design like that. Also, let's go over there and drop a radar so I can grab that and blueprint it from a distance if I need to. We're going way too far away. Okay. This is kind of big. So we're going to look at making sand first. One train will unload and make a bunch of sand. And this one train, it'll probably be the first one, we will take down, and then we're going to be taking 4 blue belts worth off, which means we can make 4 setups to make sand, which will then turn into 16 blue belts of sand out. That's pretty, really crazy. Really crazy. So, let's see. I would rather not have these medium power poles out here. So I want to see about doing something a little bit weird with our power. Whoop, I'm right here beside it. Where am I going? I get distracted when I'm on the map view. We can take these undergrounds a little bit further, like so, and then we're still going to grab off of it, but I could put down another substation that's just barely offset, and that removes the need for these weird medium power poles. And I think that's what we're gonna do. It'll look a little bit weird in the blueprint, and later on we'll get better power solutions than this. But I would rather do that than have some weird single line of medium poles at this stage in the game. So let's fix this blueprint up, because we are about to use this blueprint and make a lot of these. And that means that when I drop substation right there and right there, we are good to go. Whoops, don't break that. Then I'll be trying to figure out why it's not working down the line. What's going on here? Okay, that's much better. I like that. So now I want to take a blueprint section of this. And this is going to be sand processing. We're going to put, let's see, a beacon symbol in here so I know this is the current version where we're getting a lot of productivity out of it. And this is sand processing. Create blueprint. Now, all we have to do is feed stone into this thing. And boy, it's a monster. So if we come down here, we need to figure out how we're going to unload and balance our sand, our stone, and then turn it into sand. So let's head right down here. And we are going to do simple setup like we've been doing for quite a long time for the offloading of the trains. I wonder, whoops, wonder if I could sneak in here. I don't think I have enough room to put in warehouses here instead and still offload and make it pass. No, I don't think. I could make this a little bit bigger, but we won't worry about it too much. We're not necessarily going to be buffering the output here. We'll be buffering the input and the amount of trains we have sitting and waiting. Alright, and we're just going to turn and come down this way. Now, in the other areas, I am balancing two setups, and I'm probably going to want to try and do the same thing down here, where I take these two trains and balance them in a 8-to-8 balancer, and then I'm going to take off of that and turn 4 lanes into a whole ton of sand and 4 lanes into stone brick. No, actually I think I'm just going to have dedicated lines. So this one will need a balancer right about here. And we're just going to do a 4-to-4 balancer. Nothing special. And then we're going to figure out how do we go underneath. Okay, and we are just waiting on the robots now to bring everything in. Oh, and this blueprint didn't quite place all the way. So we will do that again. And because there was no radar or vision in that area, when you go to place it, it doesn't finish placing anything. Oh, and I have cut power to a lot of stuff over here that needs power. So let's run a temporary line. That way the bots have more places to charge. I did place these roboports here down the middle, and I split this up so that I can have roboports in here, but I can also walk through here in between the two lines, the input and the output of this. Plus, I just think it looks really nice. Not just on the map, but just like over here. When this is running, this is going to look really, really good. And I like that. So we're getting 4 blue belts of glass out of this. That's enough to load a train of glass. That's crazy. And I like it. So while I was working on this, I was thinking, I don't need 16 belts of sand. That's a bit overkill. So rather than doing another setup where I use an entire train of stone and turn that all into sand, I think the next one I'm going to do will be the jointed, where you have the 2 lines coming underneath and being balanced on the other side like we did down here. And instead of sending 4 to become sand and 4 to become stone brick, I'm only going to send 2 to become sand. And that'll give me 8 blue belts of sand, and then the other 6 will go to become stone brick. That's what I'm thinking. I'm still considering the idea though, because we also have to look at the stone brick takes 2 stone to make 1 stone brick. So if I'm wanting a lot of stone brick output, so if I do take and split it up and do 6 and 2 out of our stone, then I'm going to end up with 3 blue belts of stone, and that's not what I would like. That's not enough. So maybe I do a full setup for sand and then 2 trains just for our stone bricks, and that'll just round it out. That'll use all 4 of our train slots, and that will use let's see, yeah, that will use all of the belts that come out from that. So I think that's probably what we're going to end up doing. It seems a bit overkill to dedicate an entire train to making sand, and that is going to be so much sand. It's going to be just like this, but instead of it becoming glass, it'll become sand. And I'm sure I'll find a use for that. And if not, I'll just turn some of it into glass, because there are a lot of uses for glass. But let's go up here, and we're going to see if I can even fit one of these big setups like this. Okay, jetpack. I'm moving too slow. Can I even fit another setup up here, or are we going to run into an issue? So I know I can't fit it right there, but I'm thinking maybe I can sneak it in somewhere over here. And then I'll have to go up with the last 2 output lines and over. And that's okay. That's not the end of the world. We do know, though, that we can go ahead and cut this, because there will be no more expansion here. This amount of stone is going to do us for quite a while. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I mine so quickly that it breaks both of the pieces that are there. That also means I'm going to need to go ahead and complete this. Aha, I did it without breaking the curved rail. Look at me go. So if I grab a copy of this blueprint minus the big power poles, I don't need the big power poles, and place it like so, that will get me 4 additional lines, and I'm going to turn these lines and bring them over into this direction here. And I need to figure out a better way to pass the power right down here. And I'm thinking just drop a pole right there. And for making it look good, I probably want to do it at each and every one. Otherwise it will bother me that they are not done so. And I don't want it to bother me. So that just passes power over. And I can get rid of these lines. I probably also want to try and sneak in some more robo ports. Maybe down in this area somewhere. Let's see, how can I put a substation in here that'll look good? It's going to be offset one way or the other. And we'll just drop 2 robo ports on the inside. Make a blueprint of that and bring that on down. Every so often. Let's see, there'll only be 3 because I'm just doing it the in-betweens, and that's fine. That means that I can remove all of this stuff and won't worry about, well, hello, Rock, not having bot network coverage. How interesting that those were just sitting out. That's because they were running off of this line that I removed. Okay. And the only problem with that is this is no, it doesn't. Okay. These have really long connection. I was thinking that may split up the network somewhere or create a big hole in the middle, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So we're going to come in here. I don't need that one. What I would like is this monster of a setup. And I want to place it down in a kind of neat and orderly fashion. So something along the lines of that right there. And then we just need to change up a few things, being where these belts come from, because this is going to come from right over here. And it's going to look a little bit strange because it didn't fall out in a straight 90 degree. That one belt heads up in a weird angle. That's okay. And I don't want to use all of my belt either, because I'm not holding an awful lot of it. We're going to make the robots place the majority of our belt down for us. And that'll give me a train. That'll put output nothing but sand. That's a lot of sand. I don't need these undergrounds either because I'm going to balance this and load it into a train. Load it into a few trains, actually. I mean, technically, each setup here could be a full train. It's 4 blue belts. So you're talking about 4 trains of just sand I can bring out of here. 1 train of glass, and then it's going to be, what, 1 train of stone brick. That's okay. That's not exactly the kind of balance that I want later on, but that'll be alright for now. This is going to give us all of the things that we can make out of stone. And then obviously there are things that are made out of just regular stone. I don't need these bookmarked. How do I remove them? I'll just close that so I'm not looking at it. I'm unfamiliar with FNEI. I also installed the max throughput calculator mod, and I'll have to play around with that and learn how to do it. One of you in the comments let me know about it, and I definitely will be learning how to use it as we go. Now we just need to set up the stone brick processing and then set up the unloading. But that's probably going to do it for today's episode. It's getting to be a little bit long, So if you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give the video a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you all next time.